welcome back to Winter 89 Colors. My name is Melissa and I'm here today to continue our mini series in Meine Reise Durch Europa. So I am very excited. We are starting to make our way through this. So how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. We're almost there. We're almost at 2 more and we'll be halfway. So I just threw the camera on. It is 9 o'clock in the morning. I've got my 2 coffees laid out here because I'm an absolute glutton. Okay, let's pull out the wheel and we're gonna do just straight up on camera. I'm not even gonna, I don't care. You all can see my life. It's fine. Project Mythical Minis. Let us spin the wheel. No, we're not in Project... Wow. Rita Berman. Right. Okay, so we got these ones here. The jars of olive oil, or bottles of olive oil. So that's neat. We're doing glass. Oh boy. So this one's going to be a little bit more focused, I suppose. Generally, okay, so this one looks like a serving glass, so it would be clear so that you can see the color of the olive oil, but this one will probably be green, generally to keep the light out and help them last a little bit longer. The storage bottles tend to be a little bit more opaque to help protect the purity and longevity of the product inside, whereas the serving bottle, you want to be able to see the clarity and beauty of the product that you're using. So obviously, we're going to have olives. There's going to be a lot of green and a lot of yellow. This is going to be very, theoretically, a bit dull. But I think that we can make it fun. So let's find, do we have an appropriate sized piece of cardstock to block here? I used to have one, but I think I lost it. I don't know where I put it. Where'd you go? Okay, I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to use this one for backing. Now, what pencils should we use? This is a bit of a delicate page. I'm thinking that it would be good to use some polys. We haven't used polys since the very first book. Oh, goodness, I'm sorry, guys. Wow, sorry about that. If I haven't mentioned recently, my setup is still less than ideal. My left-hand table is what my camera is attached to. And so if I bump the left-hand table, the entire camera shakes, which is not ideal, but that is okay. I'm gonna set my swatch card down there. I don't need it. I know my polys well enough now that I have them more or less memorized. And okay, so we've got the olive. So what are we gonna need? We're gonna need, undoubtedly, some dark earthy greens. So let's get chromium green opaque, olive green yellowish, and earth green yellowish. Those are going to be the olive colors that we use. Then we're also going to want some nice darker shades. Again, I may not use all of these shades that I pull out. These are just a starting point for me. Mint green olive, chromex green. I don't think I'm going to need pine green, so I'm going to leave pine green behind. But otherwise, I'm going to bring out earth green, juniper green, permanent green olive, and chrome oxide green. We're going to need some browns. Nothing crazy, but a few little browns. Let's pull out raw umber and brown ochre. Perhaps even burnt ochre. And burnt sienna. And just for fun, dark sepia. That should be enough to get us, more than enough to get us started. And hopefully we can kind of go from there. So let's zoom in and have a little look-see at today's project. So we're gonna need some yellows to do the actual liquid in here, but I think I'll do that a little bit later. So let's start with the olive storage bottle. And I'm gonna start with chrome oxide green. Get my sharpener right here. I've got my Doll 133. And let's get a wriggle on. That's the perfect color. So, how's everybody been? What are we up to? Are we excited for the holiday season? I am, coloring-wise. Life-wise, not so much. I don't really care, but... Next, I'm gonna throw in some of this permanent green olive. It felt like such a busy weekend, even though it was like actually a really quiet weekend. And week too, actually. My roommate was homesick a lot. Because I was sick too, if you'll remember. I wasn't doing too great. But my roommate was sick as well. And he can be a really heavy, loud presence. He's just one of those people that exudes a lot of life. And sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. I can't concentrate when he's around. I can't do any serious coloring. I obviously can't record because he's literally loud. But, you know, I just struggle a little bit when he's around to get a lot of the things I want to get done. So he seems to be doing better now. Hopefully he's back to work and out of my hair. Because my studio's in the living room. And I don't mind sharing it, you know, when he gets home from work and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we need to be gracious with our space. But when he's home all day and I don't get a minute, you know, to be alone in the space, it can get really overwhelming. Look at my tiny little ivory. It's my favorite Polychromos pencil. I use it for almost everything. Like, it's my blender for almost everything. I find that white is just too bright sometimes. But ivory is just that right color to really bring everything together. There we go. So that's the glass on the bottle. Now, obviously, we're going to put some white highlights in order to make it look a bit more like glass, but I thought that that, you know, gave us a good impression of those green bottles that they put the oil in. So the next thing I'm going to do is the cap, and I'm going to do it in browns. So I'm going to take my burnt sienna and sharpen it up. And then I'm going to move into a raw umber. Probably should have sharpened these all before I started, but have you met me? Again, with these minis, I tend to just jump in with you and show you the whole process straight off the top of my head. And back to my ivory. I was going for sort of a corky color here, even though I know this is a twist off cap, obviously. I just still wanted to give that emulation of the warm cork sort of situation. All right. Next, let's do the olives themselves. So I'm gonna throw in a bit of chromium green opaque on these ones down here. We haven't had any snow yet, which is a little unusual. I mean, it's not unusual for us to still get some balmy days and, you know, a fair amount of warm weather and all that kind of stuff this time of year. But it is a little unusual that we've had absolutely no snow and very little frost. Usually sometime in October, and especially in November, we have at least some flurries here and there, you know, just little bits of snow in the air, maybe a little dusting overnight that melts by noon the next day, you know, that kind of thing. But we haven't had a single shred of it yet, which is interesting. I find every year winter seems to be pulling further and further towards summer. Autumn comes later and later. Spring comes later and later. Everything is sort of moving. wonder if that's a fully natural occurrence or if it has something to do with global warming. I'm not sure. And once again, a little ivory. Those are olives. Okay, so then for the olive branches, I'm going to use the same colors that I used for the bottle. So I'm going to be leaning a little bit into the more bluey greens as opposed to the really super olivey greens. So let's start with our chromium oxide green. So I hope that all of you here, if you've been following this series, are going to be participating in Winter for Winter 2024. If you haven't heard, I'm doing a bingo, which is going to last for 2 months, December 1st to January 31st, or February 1st, if you find that easier to wrap your head around. And it is to focus on everything basically except for Christmas. So New Year's, my birthday, all the stuff that falls, winter itself, you know, the weather. Everything that takes away from my birthday being right between Christmas and New Year's. We just want to make sure that the December babies are acknowledged. I'll be putting up a video closer to the end of the month that is specifically about the bingo to explain it in its full entirety. That's going to be up soon, if it's not already, depending on when this video goes up. Okay, and then I'm going to use earth green. it. And then, of course, we're coming back in with ivory. Okay, next things next, let's do, forgot the olive on the jar. And then we'll do the label in the same colors as the lid. Okay, now we have to figure out what colors we're going to do the oil itself. I'm thinking, let's do our shadows in light yellow ochre. Not a ton of this. I don't want to make it too brown. We want it to be nice and bright and clear. So then I'm taking light chrome yellow. And instead of ivory, I'm going to use actual white this time. Do the same for these little snippets. Now I want to put a little bit of our olive green yellowish. And a little bit of earth green, yellowish. Just to show that that bottle is behind our first bottle. We can even put just a touch there. Okay, so now take a touch of our sky blue. And white. There we go. So all the objects are done more or less. We just need to do the background. So I think for the background, we're gonna use our browns again. So, ooh, let's start with dark sepia. That's why we brought it out. Do the shadow here. Now I'm going to use burnt ochre. I'm not talking much. I'm just sort of concentrating on this vignette here. What do we think? Looks pretty nice. So I'm gonna go over it with ivory. Good. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now we just need some embellishments. First things first, a little bit of white. Got my jelly roll here. Just wanting these lines to sort of be a little less noticeable. That's why I didn't choose a paint pen and instead I chose a white gel pen, because I find that that doesn't white them out completely. It just softens things. There's that. And now we grab a gold pen. There we have it. What do we think? We've done the olive oil bottles, and that's one more down in our Rita Berman mini-series. So thank you for joining me. I am so excited that you came here to be with me today. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you want to see in the next one. Alrighty, toodaloo.